Everyone in that Los Angeles courtroom froze when Christian Combs' name was tied to minors. The second his defense attorney brought up FreakOFFS, the air changed. Tension shot across the room. Every eye turned to Christian. And right there, under pressure, under flashing cameras, he snapped. He pushed back his chair, his face pale, his jaw locked. Without saying a word, he stormed out. No apology, no explanation, no eye contact. He didn't even glance at his own lawyers. He just walked, fast, straight through the courtroom doors and disappeared. That moment wasn't just a meltdown, it was a warning sign. Because when someone leaves court like that, it's not about embarrassment, it's about fear. Christian Combs, son of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, is being accused of helping organize parties that involved drugs, violence, and even underage girls. These weren't simple parties, they were coordinated sex shows. Prosecutors call them FreakOFFS, drug-fueled, invitation-only events where people were lured in, used, and sometimes recorded without consent. And now, Christian is right in the center of it. It started with one victim, Grace Omari. She says she was hired as a steward for a yacht Diddy had chartered in December 2022. She expected to serve food and drinks. Instead, she found herself stuck in what she calls a nightmare. According to her lawsuit, the yacht was filled with suspected sex workers, drunk celebrities, and powerful men who acted like they could do anything. She says Christian came aboard already intoxicated. He started pushing drinks at her, urging her to take shots. She took one, then two. She says they were spiked. Minutes later, she felt weak, dizzy. He groped her, touched her legs, touched her chest. She says he kept whispering things like, "You're mine tonight." And when she tried to walk away, he followed her. That night, she says he found her again, in the ship's theater room, where some of the crew slept. She says he blocked the door, stripped down, and tried to force her to perform a sex act. She says she fought back. Someone else walked in, and she was able to escape. But she says the damage was already done. In court, her attorneys showed pictures of bruises. They submitted transcripts of audio where she told Christian, "Take your hand off me," and asked if her drink had been drugged. Her team says she suffered panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, seizures, and now lives in fear. Her lawsuit accuses Christian of sexual assault, battery, emotional abuse, and intentional drugging. But that's just the beginning. This wasn't a one-night horror story. According to federal investigators, it's part of a pattern. Christian is being linked to multiple events, yachts, villas, hotel rooms, where women were allegedly manipulated, drugged, and assaulted. He's not being described as a bystander. He's being described as a planner, a recruiter, someone who made sure these parties kept running smoothly, no matter who got hurt. Former producer Rodney "Lil Rod" Jones, who worked closely with Diddy, filed a separate lawsuit. In it, he names Christian as someone who actively participated in FreakOFFS. He says Christian knew underage girls were being brought in. He says Christian supplied drinks, locked doors, handed out cash, and sometimes he even filmed what happened. Lil Rod also says he was drugged at one of these parties. He woke up at 4 a.m. naked, next to a sex worker, after Christian and Diddy allegedly forced him to drink a laced shot. The same night, he says, Christian walked through the party like he was in charge, checking in on rooms, pushing guests to lighten up, and laughing with others about what they got away with. At first, these stories seemed like gossip, but now they're court evidence. There are audio files, screenshots, medical reports, witnesses, and the language prosecutors are using? It's serious. They're calling it organized crime. They've named it the Combs Enterprise. They've already indicted Diddy in New York on trafficking and racketeering charges, but now they're building a case around Christian, too. Prosecutors say Christian didn't just party, he helped plan, he helped control, he helped cover it up. In court, Grace Omari's lawyer, Tyrone Blackburn, laid it out clearly. He said, Christian Combs was not an innocent young man having fun. He was a key player in an environment designed to trap and exploit women. He described how Christian allegedly pressured girls into bedrooms, how he gave them drinks laced with GHB, how he made jokes about training new girls. Then he dropped the bombshell. He said there's evidence minors were present. Underage girls invited, paid, and drugged at a party Christian helped run. And just like that, Christian lost it. He didn't wait for the judge. He didn't consult his lawyer. He stood up, pushed past everyone, and left. Cameras caught the whole thing. Christian Combs, heir to one of the biggest names in music, walking out of court during one of the biggest allegations of his life. Now, the media's watching. Prosecutors are watching. And everyone's asking the same question. Why did he walk out? Was it shame? Or was it panic? Because he knows what's coming? The next part of this case could destroy what's left of Christian Combs' career and his freedom. Christian Combs tried to escape that courtroom, but his name was already sealed into court records. Once his involvement in the yacht incident was spoken aloud, everything changed. Because the second those accusations reached the public, the lawsuits started piling up, and they all pointed at the same thing. Christian wasn't just at these parties, he was helping make them happen. Grace Omari's case was just the first spark. Her claims weren't vague. They came with photos of bruises, timelines, and names. She said she was lured onto the yacht under the impression that it was a family gathering. What she walked into was a trap, filled with Diddy, his sons, powerful friends, drugs, and women who were not there by choice. She says Christian pressured her to take laced shots, that he grabbed her, groped her, blocked her escape. She says he stripped down and demanded oral sex, and even after she fought him off, no one helped her. She reported it to the captain, who, according to her, blamed her for what happened and covered it up. She now believes that Captain was paid off by Diddy to keep quiet. And why wouldn't he be? According to court documents, Diddy had total control of the yacht. He leased it, he selected the crew, and Christian, his son, was allowed to do whatever he wanted. That same night, Christian bragged to others that he was breaking her in. That quote is in the legal filing. It's not just disgusting, it's evidence. Her attorneys handed over audio clips. One of them allegedly captures her telling Christian, "You drugged me." He laughs. Another clip captures her crying, begging to leave. The tapes haven't been released publicly yet, but prosecutors say they're real and damning. Then came the Lil Rod lawsuit. He worked inside Diddy's inner circle and exposed even more horrifying details. He claimed Christian not only attended FreakOFFS but helped run them. Lil Rod says Christian handed out cash, arranged transportation for women, and helped select which guests would get special attention. He even accused Christian of drugging women. Lil Rod says Christian bragged that he could get anyone to do anything with the right drink. That he laughed about how easy it was to control people when they were drugged. But it doesn't stop there. Lil Rod says that on more than one occasion, underage girls were present, and Christian knew. There's a photo included in the lawsuit that shows Justin Combs, Christian's older brother, next to a girl who appears to be underage. That same girl was reportedly flown in for one of Diddy's parties. Prosecutors now believe Christian helped organize that trip. He allegedly made hotel arrangements, offered her money, and texted Diddy about her arrival. This is bigger than one assault case. This is organized exploitation. Federal investigators are treating this like a criminal enterprise. They've already indicted Diddy in Manhattan on trafficking, racketeering, and witness tampering charges. But here's the key. They named it the Combs Enterprise. They say this wasn't just Diddy. It was a family-run operation. Christian is listed in the background of multiple lawsuits. He's been photographed with victims. He's named in party manifests. He shows up again and again in victim statements. And in each account, he's doing more than partying. He's helping set the stage for abuse. One victim said Christian was the one who brought her to Diddy's home. Another said he invited her to what she thought was a networking event, only for her to be trapped in a bedroom. Yet another said Christian offered her $2,000 to relax and just go with it. These aren't random stories, they're patterns, and prosecutors love patterns. Why? Because it makes their job easier. In a RICO case, you don't need to prove every crime. You just need to prove that the group acted together. That's what makes Christian so vulnerable. If he's seen as part of the Combs enterprise, if he helped coordinate even one assault, he can be charged under the same federal laws they're using against Diddy. That's why his courtroom walkout was so dangerous. Because now, if he's indicted, that footage will be played to the jury. It will be used to say, he ran, because he knew what he did. Christian's attorney, Aaron Dyer, is trying to paint this as a smear campaign. He called the lawsuit lewd, meritless, and full of lies. But here's the problem. Christian hasn't denied anything directly. He hasn't gone on camera. He hasn't addressed the tapes. He hasn't explained why the victim has photos of her injuries, why the audio sounds like his voice, why his name shows up in logistics, bookings, and payments tied to these parties. Instead, he's hiding behind lawyers and silence. And that silence is loud. Because in the court of public opinion, silence looks like guilt. And in the court of law, silence doesn't protect you when there are recordings, medical files, and cooperating witnesses. The next steps are already in motion. Christian is facing a motion to dismiss the civil suit. But if that fails, and it likely will, then the discovery phase begins. That means both sides must hand over emails, phone logs, payment receipts, guest lists, Everything. That's when things get ugly. Because if Christian texted anyone about Grace, if his name is on a payment to a guest, if he arranged travel for even one underage girl, he's done. Prosecutors are watching, victims are watching, the media is watching, and all of them are waiting for the next name to appear on that indictment. Christian Combs went from Bad Boy Records prince to potential federal target in less than 6 months. All it took was one lawsuit, one audio tape, one victim brave enough to speak. Now the dam has cracked. And if even half of these allegations are true, Christian isn't just his father's son, he's his father's accomplice. Christian Combs built his image on Flash. Designer clothes, lavish parties, VIP sections. In public, he was always smiling, always celebrating. He called himself King Combs. He told interviewers he wanted to carry on his father's legacy, but on his own terms. Now that image is shattered. Every magazine that once praised him has gone silent. Every brand he partnered with is quietly distancing itself. His sneaker line, frozen, his music, overshadowed. Because when your name is linked to trafficking, drugging, and underage abuse, nobody wants to touch you. Christian has tried to control the damage. Days after the lawsuit went public, he posted on Instagram for the first time in weeks. The caption read, "Stop with the caps, slang for stop lying. No context, no denial, just vague pushback." He didn't mention the victim, didn't explain the recordings, didn't offer any proof. It backfired immediately. Comment sections flooded with questions. Why won't you speak up? Why did you run out of court? Why haven't you denied the audio? He ignored them all. Instead, his team has leaned on the same legal tactic Diddy is using: silence in public, denial in court. But that silence is becoming impossible to maintain. Here's why. The federal case against Diddy is building faster than anyone expected. Homeland Security raided 3 of his homes in March: Los Angeles, Miami, and New York. Christian was at the LA mansion when it happened. He was cuffed, detained, and questioned. No charges were filed, but the optics were disastrous. Drone footage shows Christian with his hands up, facing the wall, guns pointed, bags of evidence being carried out behind him, laptops, cameras, party logs, even bulk containers of lubricant, not party supplies, evidence. Diddy's ex called the raid racist. She said if her sons weren't black, they wouldn't have been treated this way. That statement trended for about 10 minutes. Then it disappeared under the weight of the allegations. Because race isn't the headline here, the crimes are. Federal prosecutors say Diddy used his music empire as a front for trafficking and abuse. They've named the Combs enterprise as a criminal organization. They say it includes employees, assistants, handlers, and family. That includes Christian. Legal experts say Christian's indictment is now a matter of when, not if. Why? Because of how federal racketeering works. In a RICO case, prosecutors go for the leadership, but then they widen the net. Anyone who helped, anyone who planned, anyone who paid. They want the whole machine. And Christian, by multiple accounts, helped make FreakOFFS happen. Victims say he arranged rooms, brought in alcohol, handled money, supplied drugs, told people to keep quiet. He wasn't partying, he was managing. If even one of those details is true, Christian's going down. He can deny it all he wants. But prosecutors already have recordings, photos, and sworn statements. And more are coming. Behind the scenes, his legal team is scrambling. They're trying to get Grace Omari's lawsuit dismissed on technical grounds. They claim there's no metadata on the recordings, that she can't prove the drinks were spiked, that she's trying to profit. But that argument falls apart when you remember she has audio of him pressuring her, photos of injuries, witnesses who back up her story. And if the judge allows the case to move forward, Christian will be forced to answer everything, under oath. That's the moment his legal strategy collapses. Because up until now, Christian has had one advantage. He hasn't spoken. No interviews, no deposition, no cross-examination. But discovery changes that. He'll be forced to hand over emails, texts, travel records. If there's even one message connecting him to a FreakOFFS victim, it's over. And it gets worse. Diddy's federal trial begins in May 2025. Jury selection is already underway. Prosecutors want to bring in propensity witnesses, victims who weren't part of the main indictment, but who can testify about similar misconduct. This is a bombshell tactic. It allows prosecutors to show a pattern of abuse even if the victim isn't on the original charge list. Guess whose name is on that list? Christian Combs. Multiple women have reportedly named him in side statements. Some say he lured them in, others say he drugged them. One claims he told her, "You'll make Dad proud tonight." That quote could bury him, because it links him directly to his father's alleged empire. It suggests this wasn't just learned behavior, it was encouraged. And Christian embraced it. He's been filmed at dozens of parties, hosting, toasting, surrounded by women. And while there's nothing illegal about celebrating success, there's a line. When you cross into supplying drugs, coercing sex, and trapping underage girls, that's not partying. That's criminal. The government knows it. They're watching Christian's every move. They're analyzing every photo, every message, every video. Christian's role in the enterprise makes him the perfect pressure point. If they indict him, they force Diddy into a corner. What father doesn't crumble when his son is on the line? That's how the feds win. Christian may not realize it, but he's already part of the case. He's already being used, whether he's charged or not. And the longer he stays silent, the more people assume the worst. In a world where PR matters, Christian's refusal to speak is killing what's left of his reputation. Brands won't touch him, artists won't collab. Concerts, canceled, interviews, declined. Every day the silence gets louder. Every day the evidence piles higher. And every day the world sees Christian Combs not as a celebrity, but as a suspect. The Combs family used to be royalty in the entertainment world. Diddy was the mogul, Christian was the heir. But now, their empire is collapsing, and Christian's name is stamped across every piece of rubble. What started as a flashy legacy has become a legal horror show, and the public knows it. The moment Christian walked out of court, that image of a confident, untouchable superstar died. What replaced it was something darker, a manipulator, a predator, a coward. That exit was no longer just about Grace Omari, it became a symbol of everything wrong with the Combs empire. And now that image follows him everywhere. Christian thought silence would protect him. But silence in the face of abuse doesn't shield you, it buries you. Every unanswered question fuels speculation. Every no comment feels like guilt. His father, Diddy, is already boxed in. He's facing multiple lawsuits, a federal indictment, and an army of witnesses ready to take the stand. The charges include human trafficking, drugging, rape, and racketeering. And according to the government, Christian was part of that machine. They say he didn't just know, it was in his DNA. He grew up watching how this world worked. And when it was his turn, he didn't reject it. He embraced it. He hosted parties that mirrored his father's. He repeated the same tactics. He allegedly preyed on the same kind of women. The Combs enterprise wasn't just about power. It was about control, about domination. And Christian fit perfectly into that system. Young, rich, famous, and completely unchecked. In the legal world, there's a term, superseding indictment. That's when prosecutors add new charges or new people to an existing case. Christian is the perfect candidate for one. Why? Because he gives prosecutors leverage. If they indict him, Diddy faces a nightmare, watching his son go to prison for crimes they allegedly committed together. And prosecutors know that pressure works. It makes people flip. It makes them talk. It makes billionaires cut deals. That's what's coming. Christian's legal team may think they're stalling for time, but every day that passes brings the feds closer to a full picture. Emails, texts, bank transfers, guest lists, surveillance footage, it's all being reviewed. And Christian's fingerprints are showing up everywhere. Even now, behind the scenes, sources close to the case say the feds are exploring how Christian coordinated with Diddy's team to fly in certain guests. Some of those guests, underage. Some of the payments, labeled as services. Some of the messages, coded but obvious. If the feds can tie those dots together, it's over. Because while the civil cases matter, the criminal case is the hammer. And if Christian's name gets attached to that indictment, there's no coming back. No brand deals, no hit records, no more King Combs, just a number, just a cell. Christian's future is hanging by a thread, and he knows it. That's why his team is scrambling to get Grace Omari's case tossed. That's why they're trying to bury the Lil Rod allegations. That's why they're doing everything they can to avoid depositions. Because one slip, one lie, one wrong move, and it's prison. And make no mistake, the public won't forget. This isn't just scandal, it's history. It's a family once celebrated, now accused of running a sex trafficking ring. And Christian? He didn't just inherit fame, he inherited darkness. He could have broken the cycle, he could have walked away, but instead, he doubled down. He followed the same path, and now he might pay the same price. The FreakOFFS were never about fun. They were about control, manipulation. And Christian didn't just participate, he allegedly helped run the show. From pushing drinks, to forcing victims, to locking doors, to laughing about it afterward, from being the party prince to becoming the predator. That's the story now. And if he thought walking out of court would make it go away, he was wrong. It only made the spotlight brighter. Federal investigators are watching. Judges are watching. The world is watching. Christian Combs isn't just in trouble. He's at the edge of a cliff. And all it will take is one more piece of evidence, one message, one payment, one victim, to push him off. Because in this case, there is no soft landing. There's only guilt or justice.